everybody. Hey, thanks for coming out. I'm on the board of directors, so it's like super awesome to see all of you here. So give yourselves a round of applause. Oh, shut up. Oh, don't. Okay, so thank you for coming out. All right. My first existential crisis happened when I was 10, during a rehearsal for the musical Snoopy for Theater Under the Stars. I was lucky and just pudgy enough to land the role of Woodstock. Charnel Brown, who I understood once co-starred on the Cosby Show spin-off A Different World, was contracted to play the title titular role of Charlie Brown's personable companion, Snoopy. Since I was Woodstock, most of my lines were a series of hash marks that I interpreted to be whistles and bird chirps. But Charnel and I had one whole song together about friendship. And she was my idol for the whole production, with her hard work and light attitude. I had every reason to spend the entire process starstruck and overwhelmed with joy that it was me who was cast. The fat and funny kid who never made friends with the Broadway wannabes. Me, who the other young dancers and singers hated to be paired with for any dance or exercise, and now they had to work with me as their lead on every number. Unfortunately, as potentially predicted, my casting created even more reasons to be ostracized. There might have been a couple of factors that led to my demise. Perhaps it was the pressure of the role. I spent 5 hours each day in tap shoes, expected to smile, whistle, belt, smile, bell, kick, chirp, and smile with Charnel Brown, star of A Different World. Or maybe it was because the other kids still never spoke to me, even on our snack breaks. Or maybe it could have been that just 4 months before rehearsals started, my parents had informed me they were getting a divorce. Whatever the trigger, the downfall began as I stood on top of a painted wooden box, feather cap perched on my head, staring into the floor-length mirrors as a chorus of The World According to Snoopy began to vamp and happy singing pretense posed joyfully around me. I stood still. I stopped singing for a few bars and missed my cue to whistle. I was headlong into the abyss. Miss Laura was the choreographer who had been exasperated with my antics since I joined musical theater at the age of 7. She finally stopped the piano player when she noticed I was lost in space, but I barely noticed. I was enveloped in the void of nothingness where the universe ended. I wasn't aware of her questions or snapping in my direction. Finally, she broke into my space oddity, getting in between me and the mirror and forcing eye contact. I looked her deep into the eyes and gave voice to my thoughts, and I whispered, "None of you are real." She leaned toward me as if she couldn't hear me, or perhaps she was giving me another chance to say something more strange. "None of you are real! None of this exists! None of it!" I shouted. The whole room was quiet. I could feel everyone looking away embarrassed, but I wasn't ashamed. I was confident in the breach of reality and the futility of it all. After a moment, Miss Laura used the lowest, firmest teacher voice I have ever known in my life. Blair, get it together. I looked down at the floor and saw my yellow socks and tap shoes stuck with feathers. I raised one half-hearted apology, but then I snuck a look at everyone else in the room. I caught the eyes of the adult cast members. Most of them were a little confused and startled. Charnel had a very worried look, and her snoopy ears highlighted the slight cock of head and curiosity. With a red face, I apologized again, louder. Then I put on the kind of smile that Wednesday Addams conjured after taking a sojourn in the Harmony Hut. I mentioned that I was a little tired and a little cranky. I rubbed my face and eyes, and I took one last look in the mirror before asking where we were starting from. It must have been enough reassurance to everyone in the room because we picked up again and pretended like nothing had happened. Somehow I let my mind resolve that even if these were all shadows, time was still passing, and I needed to do something to occupy myself. So why not singing and dancing? I picked up the pace. But that would be my last major role with Theater Under the Stars until I left the program. I chalk this up to the lack of roles for preteens with an overabundance of baby fat. But minor psychological breakdowns are not really the stuff of musical theater, unless it's a Stephen Sondheim production. But that wouldn't be my last drop into the existential abyss. But so far, it's been the only one punctuated by a bouquet of jazz hands. Thank you.